Good evening. Welcome to the Salem Area Mass Transit District's November 18th board meeting. The board is participating both in person and virtually. I will go ahead and call this meeting to order. First, Ms. Galeazzi will note the attendance for quorum. We do have a quorum present, and then I'll go ahead and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, we'll proceed to our safety moment.
Thank you. So the safety moment tonight is on behalf of the American Red Cross. And I want to share some ways to stay safe as you deck the halls this holiday season. The holiday season is here, and the American Red Cross wants everyone to stay safe from home fires as they decorate their homes for the upcoming festivities. Decorations like trees, lights, and candles increase the risk of home fires during the holidays, with Christmas, New Year's Eve, and New Year's Day being the top 3 days for home candle fires, according to the National Fire Protection Association. The Red Cross wants people to stay safe from home fires, the nation's most frequent disaster, by testing their smoke alarms and practicing their home fire escape plan with free resources at redcross.org/homefires. In addition, you can follow these simple safety tips as you put up lights and ornaments. Check all holiday light cords to make sure they aren't frayed or broken. Don't string too many strands of lights together, no more than 3 per extension cord. If you are buying an artificial tree, look for the fire-resistant label. When putting it up, keep it away from fireplaces, radiators, and other sources of heat. If getting a live tree, make sure it's fresh and water it to keep it fresh. Bend the needles up and down to make sure no needles fall off. When decorating outside, make sure decorations are for outdoor use and fasten lights securely to your home or trees. If using hooks or nails outside, make sure they are insulated to avoid an electrocution or fire hazard. If using a ladder, be extra careful. Make sure to have a good stable placement and wear shoes that allow for good traction. Don't use electric lights on metallic trees. Don't forget to turn off all holiday lights when going to bed or leaving the house. Keep children, pets, and decorations away from the candles. And if hanging stocks on the fireplace, don't light the fire. So be safe this holiday season. That concludes the safety moment.
Thank you, General Manager Pollack. Next, we have announcements, and I'll turn it back over to General Manager Pollack.
Great. So in the last couple of weeks, we have brought on a few key new employees that I'd like to introduce. The first one is our new Chief Human Resources Officer, Christina Connor, who was scheduled to be here tonight, but got a call. Her furniture arrived, and they want to unload it now. So she will be with us next month. A couple of you have already met her. But also the other is Bobby Kidd. Bobby Kidd is the new Strategic Initiatives Administrator who will be helping us with our climate action plan, our sustainability programs, and our strategic plan. So I think if Bobby's there, you want to say a word or two?
I am here. I don't know if you guys can see me, but hello. I am so honored to be here at Cherriots, to be a part of the wonderful team. Everybody's been so welcoming so far, and I'm really excited about all of the things I'm going to be able to work on and accomplish with you all. So thank you.
Thanks, Bobby.
Back to you.
Okay. Next, we have presentations. So the first of which is a treat. I'll let Tricia Feeney, our Director of Communication, introduce it.
Thank you, President Davidson and members of the board. As co-sponsors of the Customer Education Campaign, Deputy General Manager David Trimble and I would like you to join us in congratulating Marketing Coordinator Jonah Hansen and the project planning team for winning the American Public Transportation Association's 2021 Top Honor, the Grand Award for Marketing and Communication. APTA's AdWill Awards recognize the strategic importance of the marketing and communication initiatives that advance the organization goals of APTA members. This year, the judges reviewed 369 entries. It was narrowed down to 91 first-place entries and then 16. Now I have the privilege of introducing to you Jonah Hansen, who will present this prestigious award. Jonah?
Thank you, Director Feeney, and thank you, President Davidson and members of the board for this opportunity to talk about this exciting honor for Cherriots. First, though, I'd like to take a moment to introduce some of you, and in some cases, reintroduce you to our customer education campaign. The Team Cherriots Customer Education Campaign is a great example of how cross-divisional efforts can impact both our external and our internal customers. A team of staff from various departments worked together to develop a campaign with a goal of reminding our riders that they are part of Team Cherriots and that they too play an important role in helping us provide efficient, safe, and enjoyable transportation. The campaign collateral showcased original illustrations accompanied with various messages, all developed and designed in-house by our own staff. On this slide is an example of how we used fun and engaging illustrations of one of our creatures to accompany messaging that reminds our riders that eating is prohibited on the bus and that drinks must be in a hard side spill-proof container. Elements of the campaign were seen across a wide range of digital and printed media. On this slide is another example of a header card on one of our buses, again, using an illustration along with messaging to remind our riders to exit through the rear door when possible to expedite the boarding process and improve efficiency at stops. In addition to digital and printed media, the campaign elements made appearances at multiple outreach events over the course of almost a year. The response from our riders was overwhelmingly positive, especially from our youth, who of course are the future of our ridership. The positive response has also encouraged us to continue using the cast of characters for ongoing marketing efforts as well. We have even been asked by other agencies if we would be willing to share materials for them to use. In the spirit of public transit, and sharing information, of course, we were happy to give them access. This award marks a proud moment for Cherriots and proves that even with less resources than the big agencies, we are capable of putting together a campaign that is competitive on a national stage. A big thank you to all the staff who were involved with this campaign, from committee members to outreach staff. You have all played an important role in winning this award. On behalf of the project team, I am very excited to present our grand prize AdWill Award for Best Marketing and Communication Educational Initiative.
So I'll just take a moment to say here that General Manager Pollock and I, we were able to attend the award ceremony, and it was very cool to see Cherriots recognized on a national stage. Mr. Hansen, I think you're underselling the award and how big of a deal this was. So many congratulations to you and your team and everybody that's been involved. I will just say personally that my daughters, and I'll be honest, I am also a big fan. So very well done.
Thank you, President Davidson. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I would just like to add a comment or two from what Jonah had said. So in the transit industry, this really is kind of the Academy Awards of the marketing and creativity genre of the organizations. And so we won first place in our category, which is 0 to 4 million riders. There's also the category of 4 to 20 million, and then 20 million and plus. And so when you win the grand award, that means you not only won your category, but all 3 categories. So for this campaign, we beat the Chicagos, the New Yorks, the LAs, amongst all the others. So it is a very prestigious award in the industry, and Jonah and the whole communication team should be proud of their efforts.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Hansen, for coming. And thanks for, well, I guess I'll reiterate. Thank you for giving us these, is it creatures? Is that the right terminology? Okay, creatures.
That works.
Okay, I love them. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Next up is a presentation on our South Salem Transit Center project update.
So I'll ask Steve Dickey, our Director of Technology and Program Management, to come on and introduce the presentation.
Good evening, President Davidson, members of the board. Tonight, we are bringing another update on our South Salem Transit Center site selection project. If you remember, at our June 24th meeting, we had a presentation that identified all of the information that we had gathered during the first phase of this process. The update provided an overview of what was learned during that phase in developing a current and future conditions technical memo that documented existing levels of service and developed environment where they currently operate. The memo also evaluated the anticipated developments of the Salem Kaiser area over the next 20 years and what service enhancements would be needed to adequately provide the level of public transportation services that keeps up with the growth. This portion of the study helps to provide a framework for determining the preferred location for the South Salem Transit Center. The second phase of this process is now complete, which involved the development of a prototypical designs for a transit center. And this process begins to clarify what will be included in the South Salem Transit Center, an important part of the process, as this information will help determine the size of the parcel needed to construct the facility. Tonight, we have Alicia McIntyre from Parametrics, our consulting firm that is working with us on this project. And Alicia is going to lead you through a presentation that will help identify some of the information that we presented during this second phase and the things that we've learned, and then where we're going from here. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Alicia.
Thank you, Steve. And congratulations on your grand award. That is incredibly exciting, and wow, what a hard act to follow. So I'll go ahead and go through the presentation. As Steve mentioned, this is an update from the last one that we provided back in the summer. So next slide, please. So just a quick reminder of why we're undertaking this study. Cherriots has identified a need for a new transit center and mobility hub in South Salem. And the purpose would be to facilitate better crosstown traffic, serve growing neighborhoods, and also integrate mobility options along with transit. Next slide, please. So as Steve touched on, our work to date, we performed a transit market analysis, which helped us understand future growth. And we also reviewed the transit needs of equity and social justice populations served by Cherriots, and then also developed network assumptions to inform the transit center siting. And as part of that work, we undertook public outreach that focused on asking members of the community to explain their desired features of future service and then elements of the transit center in the future. And as Steve mentioned, that's all information that would help guide the next steps that I'll just be covering in a moment. And next slide, please. So tonight, I'm going to touch briefly on the prototypical designs that we developed. And as Steve also mentioned, those really help us understand what size parcel would be needed to accommodate the transit center. I'll talk a little bit about the public outreach that undertook that second phase of work, the site selection screening process that's underway, and then our next steps. Next slide, please. So we developed prototypical designs both for the transit center as well as what we've dubbed a super stop, a large, generally on-street facility that's bigger than your typical bus stop, but much smaller than a transit center. So we want to understand, again, the size of the site that we need, and then also where in South Salem it would be most feasible based on future network, future kinds of service. And then we used our conversations with staff, with the CAC, the board, and the public feedback that we received to help us put these designs together. Next slide, please. So the next few slides are these prototypical designs that we prepared for the transit center and the super stop. I just want to emphasize that these are not based on any given site. They are based on a generic site. So there's no particular site in mind. We wanted to get an idea of what the layout would need to look like based on the number of active bays that are needed, layover needs, accommodating different mobility options to access the transit center. So what you can see here is the access for buses kind of in the upper left corner. Buses would be able to circulate through the site, accessing any of the 8 bays, and then be able to exit as well. And then kind of in the right-hand side, under number 11, I know these might be a little bit small, you can see where the layover area is. And then in the foreground, you can see, moving kind of from left to right, a plaza area that has multi-purpose functionality. In this illustration, we show food carts, could be used for a variety of purposes. And then also some space for micromobility, such as scooters or bicycle share. More of an entry plaza under number 7, and then some bicycle parking under what you see marked as number 3. And then surrounding, we've got stormwater facilities, both on the exterior as well as interior of the site. So that gives you kind of an idea of what kind of space is needed. And you can see that a lot of that space really is for the functionality of the buses to make those turns and to circulate through the site. Next slide, please. This is just more of a little bit more of a person's view of what you would see as you would enter the site, with that secure bike parking being what you see immediately to the right. And I glazed over, unfortunately, sorry about that. Can we go back one slide? Thank you. In the upper right, that's where we would, that's where we show customer restrooms and also trash and recycling. And we've also got the operator facilities as well. Thank you. Can we move 2 slides ahead, please? Thank you. So this is a plan view of a super stop. You can see that it has 2 bays for buses, and it would be an on-street facility. Next slide, please. And then this similar oblique view. You still have bicycle parking. You have some smaller flexible space for micromobility, shelters for customers, electric bus charging. Again, I failed to mention that as part of the transit center as well. Both of them have charging facilities. In the transit center illustration, they were in the layover area. And then, of course, space for buses to operate. And then at the very head of the super stop would be a place where there could be some passenger and drop-off area. And what we found with the prototypical design was that we estimate a need for about 3¼ acres to accommodate that larger offsite transit center. And next slide, please. So with this phase, we performed public outreach again. One of our steps was an update to the CAC, where we reviewed these prototypical designs with them back in September. And then we hosted an online open house for about 3½ weeks. At this point, the open house was primarily informative about the project status, to show these prototypical designs, provide an understanding of how we developed them and why they are developed the way they are. Had about 400 project website views and really didn't get a lot of comments. That's not necessarily indicative of anything poor about the open house, because again, it was mostly informative. This isn't a phase where we had a lot of questions for the community. That's going to come again in the next phase. And that open house was advertised through the project website, various platforms of social media, outreach, emails, monitors at the transit centers, as well as printed folios. Next slide, please. And this is just a summary of the social media activity. There were 3 posts on each platform using Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So you can see those numbers of how many people were engaged during that open house. Next slide, please. So using the information that we had with the prototypical design, we've now embarked on a screening process to start trying to find potential sites. So this is a multi-screen process. We anticipate going through about 3, possibly 4 screens to help narrow down the number of sites. So the first one is what we call the fatal flaw analysis. If you remember, the study area is fairly large in South Salem. So we needed a procedure that would help us reduce the number of sites to something very manageable. So we looked at a number of features to help us pare down the possible sites. We looked at probably the most fundamental as far as getting us to a manageable number of sites was really looking at zoning. Is a transit center a permitted use? And we worked with the city to talk about existing zoning as well as what they are looking at as part of their comprehensive plan update. We looked at operational efficiency and then looked at site size. And when we talk about site size, we looked at both individual parcels as well as the potential for aggregation of parcels to meet that minimum size that we need. And what we found initially is about 9 sites that are contained generally in that kind of pink oval that we will advance into our initial screening phase, which we are just really getting started on. And with that, we hope to use some more detailed criteria, again, really focused on the sites to help us narrow further. And then once we have what we anticipate maybe 4 to 6 sites, we will then perform what we call design charrettes, where we will take a look at the sites and actually start to lay out the transit center on those sites, and then use those designs to do an additional screening to look at some additional criteria that really focus on potential design to help us narrow down to a couple of candidate sites that could be forwarded into final consideration. Next slide, please. So for next steps, as I mentioned, we'll be looking at the candidate sites and also assessing some site suitability. And then when we get to that phase, that's when we will launch the 3rd phase of public outreach with an anticipated completion date of spring of 2022. So with that, I'll take a deep breath and sit back and see if there are any questions.
Are there any questions? Director Carney.
Thank you, President Davidson. You know, I was going to have at least one. And apologies for my remote attendance this evening, but gosh, thank you, technology, for allowing it all. And thank you for the presentation, Alicia. That was really great. I loved the renderings. It was curious that all of the renderings used the same 1991 Honda Civic that I drove when I was younger. So great taste there. I have two questions, I think, for you, and then I think I have one for staff. In the early part of your presentation, you mentioned that you reviewed the transit needs of equity and social justice partners. And I was just hoping you could tell us a little bit more about your process there.
Certainly. So we use census data to help us understand where various populations are located. Predominantly, we were looking at BIPOC populations, households with 0 cars, and low-income populations. And what we were trying to gauge was where those populations are located, particularly in reference to jobs and other services. So to understand what kind of transit needs there might be to connect those areas to the various job and service centers. So it was very high level, and we did look at it through the lens of what kinds of transit services, or where, really what are the connections that are needed. That was really the foundation of that work.
Great, thank you. I might have to go off camera here in a moment because it's telling me my network bandwidth is low. I apologize, folks. And then my second question for you was, if you can hear me, I hope you can, because you got frozen for a minute. And I think it's on, the fault is on my end, but the design charrettes that are upcoming, is that part of a public process? And if so, who is involved?
That, at this point, we anticipate that that is actually an internal process with the consultant team, with Steve and his team to really dig in. It's probably going to be an all-day or at least a half-day process where we roll up our sleeves and put designs together that would then subsequently be presented to the public.
Great, thank you. And I'll come back on camera after I refresh my connection. But one more question for staff, and this is, I really appreciated the outline of the public process or the community engagement process, but I know that the transit district has both a need and a desire to connect with other stakeholder groups. So I'm thinking specifically of like the Latino Business Alliance and the Salem Chamber of Commerce. Can we hear from staff, or maybe Parametrics has been involved, about the additional stakeholder engagement we have done aside from the public process?
Well, Director Carney, we are working together with the team from Parametrics, and then also they have subcontractors as well that are helping us with that outreach effort. We are utilizing the connections that they have, but we are certainly open to other connections as well. This phase was really about more of the conceptual idea of what does a transit center look like, and the prototypical designs that were presented are the design that would be, if you include everything that we might conceivably want to include, this is what it would look like, or something very similar. Now, that does not preclude it from having some variations or adaptations, either because of need or because of desires of the community, or simply because of the parcels that we have available, some of the actual practical aspects, such as access design based on available arterials that we would need to be able to come and go through those points of access. So there may be variations on this. It could be simply also that there isn't a parcel that is going to be quite large enough. So then we need to have conversations about, okay, what don't we include from that prototypical design? As we are reaching out to the community, we want to make sure that we are as inclusive as possible with that. But this first piece was, for lack of a better way of saying it, hey, here's an idea, and this is what it would look like if it had everything under the sun. Now we'd like you to think about that. This next phase, as we go into it, really is going to be where we get involved with the community. Now, when we talk about the design charrette, that gets into some some very heavy granular level of detail, that there's a lot of internal considerations that have to be taken into account when going through that process. So when we get into that, we, while it may seem ideal to just give an open and blank slate to the public, we also know from experience that if you do that, you rarely come away with something where everybody agrees on what that final thing should look like. In fact, it becomes quite elaborate and all over the map. So it's really best to come with some presentation that has some justification behind it. So for instance, we may think about what are some of the types of fixtures that we would have, not only from an aesthetic and functional perspective, but also how durable are they? How easy are they for our facilities staff to maintain and keep in good order? And so we don't want to present something that we know we are not going to want to take on the burden of keeping it in good order to serve the public because of the nature of what it was. So that's where a design charrette really needs to be done internally. Then we come to the public. The final product of that design charrette is absolutely not the final that is set in stone. It is something though that gives us a really solid starting point that is close to where we need to end up as far as functional capacity and ability to maintain it. But it is something that we also want to open up the conversation then with the public and members of our community stakeholders as to their recommendations and suggestions.
Great, thank you. And then this maybe as an idea more than a question. I loved looking at what appeared to be very secure bike parking. I think that many of you that know me know I really like to get around on my bicycle. I'm wondering if there is a way or what possibility might exist for sort of leveraging that kind of larger scale bike parking opportunity and maintenance facility with a small business opportunity. I just think about the success that Hub has had down the street from me here and what they started out as in the basement of a church and the number of people that they've trained. So I don't know if that's a possibility, but I just wanted to put the idea out there for staff and other board members, and I'll go on mute and allow others to ask their questions. Thanks.
Thanks, Director Carney. Please.
Thank you very much for that presentation. It was fantastic. I was just curious, what are the next steps that we're going to be taking to bring in public input? Is there like dates that we're going to be opening up survey questions? Are there updates going to be made to the website? Kind of, what does that look like between now and spring of 2022?
Steve, would you like me to take this one, or would you like to?
I will let Alicia take that because that is kind of part of the overall plan that Parametrics has put together with their team, and I'll let her elaborate on that.
Yeah, so we anticipate having these design charrettes in January. And so it would be after we have those charrettes, put these designs together, and then do that initial evaluation so that when we go out to the public, we can not only present designs, but also talk about pros and cons associated with different locations and different designs that suit those sites. So while I don't have the project schedule right in front of me, I'm guessing it's probably close to like late February, early March, that we would then have that final round of engagement with the public.
And we will be engaging the public through a variety of means again. One of the big ways that we have been able to successfully get a broader participation has been through online open houses where there is a broader range of time that people can access and provide input. And in that, I don't remember if this was part of our project scope, but typically there is an opportunity where there is some live interaction, but that is a set period of time. much more like a typical open house. But then the more optimal opportunity here is that then after that, if you want to go in and just do a self-guided interactive experience to provide your input and feedback, there's typically a window of several days where people aren't dependent upon making room in their schedule for the 2-hour window that a typical open house would provide.
So just to clarify, people will have the opportunity to contribute via open house and then via, I mean, can they email in? Do they have to call in? Like, what are the modalities in which people can get to us?
Pretty much any of what you've mentioned there, they can call, they can send in emails, they can send in feedback via our different social media channels. We really want to make it as open and accessible as possible. If people want to pick up the telephone, the old-fashioned way of pick up the telephone and talk to somebody, we can accommodate that as well, especially if people have difficulty with utilizing those other means. And we certainly, I mean, probably one of the pluses of this pandemic is it has forced agencies like ourselves and consulting teams to really expand and become more proficient in using a broader range of ways for the public to engage with us. Instead of, I always use the horrible example, but it was the standard for too many years of, Tuesday night at the junior high or the middle school cafeteria, and hope that somebody will show up, and you get in those a very limited perspective of what the community needs. And by opening up all these other channels, it really presents a much broader opportunity for people to provide input.
Great, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And then just to echo what Director Carney said, if we could find out the groups that you have reached out to, so that if there are holes where we have connections that we could plug, I would love to have that resource so that we know where the connections need to happen if they need to.
Yes, we will certainly get that information to General Manager Pollock, and he'll share it with the board.
Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Other questions? Okay. I have just one. Trying to think of how to phrase this. So with the transit center model, at least the mock-up here, I think that you said there were 8 bays, and a super stop under the mock-ups there were 2 bays. So is it safe to assume that if we can get a site selection, and given the constraints of a site selection, that the preference would be a single centralized transit center as opposed to 4 super stops? Or am I thinking of that as too black and white? Is a mix really the optimal? What's the optimal, I guess?
I'll go ahead and take that. It really is going to be a conversation internally that we have that's going to be somewhat determined on where that final recommended site would be. And it really comes back to some of the operational functions that we would anticipate in optimizing our ability to provide the coverage in the further out sections of our community. So the concept of a super stop, you could, in theory, have a series of super stops, but then you lose some of the capacity to turn primary core route lines around at the end of the line. So really, what was anticipated in the initial phases of this concept was that you would have a primary hub, but then in other sections that maybe of distance, maybe because we're talking about the ends of our community on the south end, where we have the north end, we have Kaiser. Then on the south end, if you have sections that are a little bit further to the east or to the west, where more than one route or micro transit would serve that well, whereby based on the timing of those routes to connect, you would utilize a super stop for those to connect at a timed location as well. And not, again, in a much smaller scale do what we're doing here by not forcing people to go all the way downtown to transfer. In this case, you would have maybe 2 or possibly 3 routes that would travel in the pathway and intersect that super stop and give people an opportunity to transfer between 2 routes without having even to go to the South Salem Transit Center. So that's the concept of the super stop, is to give a better place for en route transfers to take place as well.
That's very helpful. So is it then safe to assume that the super stops would not be constrained by the map, the vicinity of, I can't actually read it, but so.
The pink oval?
Yes, okay, so the super
Yeah.
stops, okay, I got it. For some reason,
Yeah.
I was limiting myself to the super stops within the red circle, in which case I could not figure out why that would be. Okay, I understand
Yeah.
now.
Yes, you are absolutely correct, President Davidson. The concept of the super stops would be as an auxiliary to that main focus area, if that would make operational sense to have those.
Right,
And
okay,
those could be things even that would be maybe conceptually added at a future time too, as the community grows.
sure, okay. Thank you very much. Other questions? All right, well, thank you very much for the presentation, and thanks for handling our many questions.
Thank you for the opportunity to present. Have a good evening.
You too. Next, we have public comment. We have not received any written public comment. There's no members of the public present this evening. Are there any members of the public that would like to make comment on online? Not seeing or hearing any. So we'll go ahead and proceed to the consent calendar. If there's no issues with the items on the consent calendar, would someone please make a motion?
I move to approve the consent calendar.
We have a motion to approve,
I second.
and we have a second. All right. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 Perfect. Okay, that's unanimous. So with the consent calendar out of the way, we'll proceed to the action items, the first of which is a change order.
I'll ask Greg Thompson, our maintenance manager, to please come online.
President Davidson, members of the board, good evening. Everybody can hear me okay?
We can.
All right, great. So tonight I'm asking the board to authorize the general manager to execute a contract change order with Gillig for the purchase of on-bus charging equipment for an amount not to exceed $395,750. Cherriots proudly states that we've been successful in back-to-back low-no grant awards for electric buses in both 2020 and 2021. At the April 22nd, 2021 board meeting, the board approved the purchase of 5 battery electric buses using the 2020 low-no grant award. In June of 2021, the district was again successful in being awarded the second low-no grant for an additional 5 battery electric buses. Adding the additional 5 buses to the original 5-bus plan drastically changed the entire plan on how we charge and how the routes look. We're now being aware of long-term implications and the possibility of adding even more battery electric buses in the near future. Changes in how and when buses need to be charged had to be re-examined. It was determined that adding on-route inductive pickup charging to the original 5 buses would have several benefits to the local service. Buses can now charge throughout the day, can now stay out on route all day long, without the need for midday depot charging and labor-intensive transporting buses back and forth to the Del Webb maintenance shop for midday charging. The buses being purchased with the 2021 low-no grant have inductive pickup charging equipment in their specifications. The bus inductive pickup charging equipment can only be installed at the time when the buses are being built at the factory at Gillig. Gillig will be using the purchase price based on the State of Virginia Commonwealth Agreement that provides the lowest cost to the district. Funding for the proposed contract will be included in the capital projects budget of SAMTD's adopted fiscal year 2022-2023 budget. The price per bus is in the table 1 below of $79,150 for 5 buses. That's $395,750. The funding for the proposed contract is covered from the fiscal year 2021 FTA 5307 grant. There was an error. It's not a low-no 5307 grant, it's just a 5307A grant. I'm trying to get my sheet to move down here. The FTA, the 5307A funding is an 80-20 match. So the grant amount is $316,600. The match amount is $79,150. And the total amount is $395,750. Staff recommends that the board authorize the general manager to execute a contract change order with Gillig for the purchase of on-bus charging equipment for an amount not to exceed $395,750. And if you have any questions for me.
Thank you, President Davidson. So one question that I have is I'd really like to see some more information on how this all works. Do we have more information? Because when I hear this, I think of, it sounds something similar to like an alternator, the way that the alternator charges a vehicle's battery while it's moving. And so I know that there's a lot of issues when it comes to alternators. Regulators can go out, that causes a fire hazard. And so I'm wondering if there's any history that we can pull up to be able to read a little bit more about these systems that we're trying to get installed.
Sure. So this is actually a little bit different. So what this is one part of an infrastructure portion made by Momentum Dynamics. It's an inductive pickup charger that charges the buses when they pull over an in-ground pad. The in-ground pads will be placed at our Kaiser Transit Center and are covered in the phase 2. That construction's in the phase 2 in the 2021 low-no grant. So what it does is this approval tonight adds that charging infrastructure, essentially plates to the bottom of the bus to receive that inductive pickup charging at Kaiser Station. So it's a little different than an alternator. It's not actually, propelled by the engine. The technology's been out for quite a while. Several Washington properties are using the same vendor that we're proposing. It's capable of charging up to at a time, if you're fully square over the charging pads, of 300 kilowatts. So it's just kind of think of it like when you charge your cell phone on a pad. There you go, perfect. It's the same idea. It's not transferring electricity, it's magnetic charging. So it's that same technology, but to charge the buses that way. So in essence, what it does is the buses will be depot charged at our DOA maintenance facility. And as the bus is in service in the Route 11, as they come into the Kaiser Transit Center, and they have their 10 to 12 minute layover, marking time essentially to get back on track for the schedule, they'll pick up a little bit of a charge. It won't fill the bus all the way up, but it'll give it enough that the charging cycle will look like a stair step, so that bus can stay in service all day long. Hopefully, does that answer what you were looking for?
Yeah, beautifully. You answered that beautifully. That really gives me a better idea, and it makes me feel a lot better about having a vehicle parked while it's charging versus charging en route. Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Carney.
Thank you, President Davidson. Can I just say what a pleasure it is to have anybody with mechanical inclination on this board. I can start my lawnmower, but that's really, sometimes it feels like the limit. So my question, and you may have addressed this in your spoken remarks, Manager Thompson, and it might be in the written report that I'm looking at right here, but maybe I'm just not seeing it. So we're submitting a change order for 5 buses, but we've got 10 buses. Are only 5 of them gonna have this capability? And then we're just gonna like do that dance with the other 5? What's the story there?
Well, you're stealing my thunder for my next presentation. I've got 2 more following this one. So technically, the board has approved 5 buses. We'll be working later on for the approval for the next 5. So when we got the loan award for the first 5 buses, we had a plan on how to operate just those 5. When we added the potential for, well, not a potential, when we added another 5 to that, and not having that charging infrastructure would have really had some adverse effects on spare ratios, pullouts, maybe even possibly the need for hiring additional staffing, because there's a lot of bus cycling throughout the day and midday charging. And I think it's going to have a real detrimental effect to our service. So we thought, well, on the second 5 buses, though they are expected to come with this infrastructure, this equipment already on the buses, we're adding it to the first 5, so all 10 will be the same.
Great news. Thank you.
Other questions? Okay. So if there's no other questions, would someone like to make a motion? Director.
I move that the board authorize the general manager to execute a contract change order with Gilling LLC for the purchase of on-bus charging equipment for an amount not to exceed $395,750.
We have a motion,
I second.
and we have a second. Any discussion on the motion? I'll just take the opportunity to say, Manager Thompson, thank you for being creative and rolling with us as this 5-bus pilot became a 10-bus pilot and perhaps larger. And I want to say that I appreciate the efforts of you and others in working through this.
It will be successful, that's for sure.
Yes. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. And then I have a feeling Manager Thompson's up next.
Yeah, that is correct. He's right there.
All right, so ready?
Yep, please.
So President Davison, members of the board, good evening. Great to see you all again. Tonight, I'm asking the board to authorize the general manager to execute a contract with Gillig for the purchase of 5 40-foot battery electric buses to replace 5 35-foot diesel buses for an amount not to exceed $5,058,970. Our current fixed route fleet consists of 64 35 and 40-foot buses. Regular replacement of these vehicles is necessary to ensure a safe, efficient delivery of the service. In accordance with the district's asset management plan and state of good repair planning, SAMTD staff is committed to ensuring our vehicles are replaced at a schedule consistent with industry best practices. The 5 vehicles scheduled to be replaced will reach 15 years of age and 510,000 miles at the time of replacement. This will far exceed the 12-year, 500,000-mile useful life benchmark set by the Federal Transit Administration. Approval tonight will begin the second order of 5 battery electric buses using the 2021 Low-No Grant Award. Procurement of these buses will follow eligible activities allowed under this grant, including the naming of partner bus partner bus manufacturer, which will satisfy the competitive procurement requirements. During the first Low-No grant, investigation into all bus manufacturers was conducted. Gillig was named as our bus building partner. Gillig offers superior support for their buses and have had success in battery electric deployments. Partnering with Gillig ensures consistency among the current fixed route fleet and previously ordered battery electric buses. Additionally, Gillig has partnered exclusively with Cummins for the electrification and propulsion of their buses. Gillig has been outstanding in helping us navigate through the first 5 buses and continues to be the partner of choice. Buses are anticipated to arrive in December of 2022. Funding for this proposed contract will be included in the capital projects budget of SAMTD's adopted fiscal year 22-23 budget. The vehicle costs are listed in your table 1 below. Each bus price is $999,756 for a total of 5, for a total of $4,998,680. We've also added a contingency of $12,058 per each bus to cover if there's any price changes by the time we this approval and our bus pre-build meeting, for a total contingency of $60,290 for a total amount of $5,058,970. Funding for this project is covered under the fiscal year 21 Low-No grant, and using the 5339C grant. That grant is an 15% match, which means the grant amount is $4,300,124. The match amount is $758,846 for a total of $5,058,970. And let's see if I think I covered everything. Staff recommends that the board authorize the general manager to enter into a contract with Gillig for the purchase of 5 40-foot battery electric buses, replacing 5 35-foot diesel buses for an amount not to exceed $5,058,970. And I'll answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? Director Carney.
Thank you, President Davidson. I'm just curious about the procurement process, because I'm thinking, like, it was only very recently, if I recall, Manager Thompson, that we were able to get like an all Gillig fleet, right? Before that, we had a couple kinds of buses, and I can only imagine that from a maintenance perspective, that can be a challenge in parts acquisition. I don't know. Like I said, I can start a lawnmower, but I can imagine. But so I'm looking at the language in here that is related to the competitive procurement. And it says that they named bus manufacturers. In what and luckily Gillig, I guess, was one of them. Like, what would the circumstances be that would compel us to choose a different bus manufacturer when we have all these Gilligs?
Sure. So well, couple things. So this grant is very unique in that in the grant application, when you name your partners, and we've named, and give it away to me. The next presentation will be for another partner that we named in the grant. So we named Gillig because exactly that, for fleet consistency. Our first 5 electric buses are Gillig. I mean, it would make sense to keep things the same, consistent not only from a parts perspective and a maintenance perspective, but an operator perspective as well. When an operator hops on a bus, it's very much safer to drive the same style bus. The mirrors are in the same spot, all of the adjustments and all of the controls and the handling, wheelbase, all those things are the same. So that makes it nice. But this grant, you were actually able to name your partner instead of going out for an RFP, a solicitation. So once you said in the grant application, our bus builder will be Gillig, our inductive pickup will be a pass-through Gillig, will be ChargePoint. Then you've kind of already pre-locked yourself into those vendors. So that's really unique for this grant. Typically, they say, here's grant money, go do a procurement. And then at that point, we can, we have choices on, like I think we talked on the last time with the CNG buses, buying off the Washington State Price Agreement or the Oregon State Price Agreement. And then there's some options there. So does that answer your question?
Very well, thank you. That makes it quite clear what the language is intending to say. And just to follow on to a point that you just made, I would be very interested as a board member to hear the perspective of an operator. I know that is beyond the purview of their regular duties, but to hear the perspective of an operator who began driving these electric buses after the shift, to help us understand what that means in terms of that experience. So just out for the board, for staff, that's an interest of mine, but I appreciate the answer. Thanks so much.
Other questions for Manager Thompson? I just have one question for you. Could you give me a sense of what the, I guess, in route difference a 40-foot bus would be versus a 35-foot bus? Or excuse me, yeah, 35-foot. So is that, I assume that's more seats or?
Sure, yeah, so that's exactly it. I mean,
Okay.
it's got 5 feet in between the wheels. So the wheelbase is longer, and that just means more seats. Everything else is laid out the same, you know, to be a front, almost exactly like our CNG buses are now.
Got it. Thank you. If there's no other questions, would someone like to make a motion? Please, Director Navarro.
I move that the board authorize the general manager to execute a contract with Gilling LLC for the purchase of 5 40-foot battery electric buses to replace 5 35-foot diesel buses for an amount not to exceed $5,058,970.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, thank you, Director Duncan. We have a second. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, I want to take the opportunity to say that I love when we purchase zero-emission vehicles, but I especially love it when they're replacing diesel buses. So this is a happy day. If there's no other discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Manager Thompson. And if it's all right,
Yeah, Manager Thompson has the trifecta this evening, so he's up for an additional report.
let's see if he can do the hat trick.
All right, let's see, it's 2 for 3, let's see how we go. So President Davidson, members of the board, hello again. Thank you for allowing me so much time with you this evening. Tonight, I'm asking the board to authorize the general manager to execute a contract with the Center for Transportation and the Environment, CTE, for battery electric bus project management and technical services for an amount not to exceed $145,000. As we've reviewed several times this evening, Cherriots has been successful in 2 back-to-back low-no grant awards in 2020 and 2021. For the second award in June of 2021, Cherriots was awarded the full grant application amount of $6,305,422. This amount covers the cost of buses, chargers at both Del Webb Maintenance Yard and in-ground chargers at Kaiser Transit Center. It also included in this grant is the project management consulting services with CTE. CTE will help to incorporate the additional buses into revenue service. This also includes charger and infrastructure planning, initiation, design, engineering, and route development. Approval tonight would authorize a contract with CTE in the amount of $145,000 as detailed in the grant application. CTE is a member-supported nonprofit organization that develops, promotes, and implements advanced transportation technologies, vehicles, and fuels that reduce environmental pollution and fossil fuel dependency. CTE works on numerous federally funded green energy transportation projects. And when submitting the grant application, SAMTD chose to again partner with CTE and Gillig, both parties named in the application. Therefore, the requested contract with CTE will be classified as a sole source because SAMTD is not required to conduct a competitive solicitation in accordance with the FTA's NOFO grant. notice of funding opportunity. The notice specifically allowed for the applicants to include partnerships between eligible public agencies and specific vehicle manufacturers, equipment vendors, and project consultants. The term requested to contract with CT will begin after the date of execution and last through March 31st of 2024. The total amount of the contract is $145,000 over this period. This contract must be approved in order for SAMPD to be in compliance with the grant application and thus remain eligible for the grant. The financial impact of this contract will be included in the capital project budget of SAMPD's adopted fiscal year 22-23 budget. Funding for the proposed contract is covered from the fiscal year 2021 FTA Lono 5339C grant. And the funds are listed for the management services in table 2 below, which this grant is an 85-15% match with $123,250 of grant amount and $21,750 for a match, for a total of $145,000. Staff recommends that the board authorize the general manager to execute a contract with the Center for Transportation and the Environment for battery electric bus project management and technical services for an amount not to exceed $145,000. And I am open to any questions you may have.
Thank you. Any questions for Manager Thompson? Director Carney.
Thank you, President Davidson. I'm sorry to monopolize so much of the question time. I hope my fellow board members will forgive me. I'm just trying to understand. First of all, I'm so excited by these 3 presentations in a row that like I'm gonna go harvest rainwater and recycle something after this. I am just like pumped. Anyway, to the matter at hand, I'm trying to get a sense for what CTE is doing in this contract. And I think I have some of it, but one of the clauses in here says planning and initiation, design, and route development. So I'm thinking about our long-range transit plans, and I'm thinking about service changes. So would they coordinate with our planning staff, or can you maybe describe for me what that interaction looks like in terms of service provision and route design?
Sure, they're actually doing the a multi-pronged approach. They've worked with this is their second phase, which is scaled down from the first because the first has a lot of those steps completed. But we have enlisted planning is involved in the discussion. We talk about the route modeling, how to best serve it, pull out times for those routes. And they've really helped us traverse some of those waters of things that we didn't know about. Helping us to whittle down and actually get the right charging infrastructure, what that looks like, right sizing it to what those demands are. We did a lot of work with CT on looking at charge management software that would go on top of the chargers to help maybe facilitate how the buses charge. They have forecasted, several different ways in which to charge the buses, and we've kind of gone through several different plans and trying to land on one that's the most efficient that makes that with the ultimate goal of what's going to lead to the highest probability of success. That's really our what CT is helping us with. They've done. We have never done an electric bus project, and they've got the resources. They've done a ton of them. We've put technology on the buses that are driving the Route 11 to see what their average stops are, how many times they're taking off in routes and services, their actual distances. So they're comparing some of those data points. They'll also, after our successful implementation of these 10 electric buses. They're actually on board after that to help produce some of the measurables on what are the benefits that we're seeing from these electric buses, because that's another aspect that, you know, we really wanted to get some help enlisting on, and we've talked about, you know, performance standards. We've talked about how can we produce information that's meaningful to the public, you know, because, for example, we've talked for quite a while about reducing metric tons of carbon. People can't really fathom what that means. So, and what, you know, what does a ton of carbon look like? I don't, you know, who knows? But having something that, you know, and I've seen it. I actually saw a report today of when somebody is on a converting diesel, but it was pretty interesting. They actually said, this is how many Oregonian lives we saved. Wow, that was one way to definitely hit it home. So I think there's a lot of different ways that they can help us measure some of our goals and what our impacts are of the battery electric buses. So those are those things that CTE will be helping us with.
That's incredible. Thank you. And then I'm gonna press staff because I can't remember the name of it, but Ted Stonecliffe gave us a demonstration with some really fancy route design software. And I'm wondering, I assume that route design or service design software can accommodate the kind of, I don't know if differing modalities is what I want to say, but the electric versus non-electric buses and the limitations of electric buses within. But I would look for confirmation from staff on that. And that's all my questions.
It looks like Mr. French has joined us.
Thank you, President Davidson. Director Carney, yes, TBES is the software that we use for modeling ridership, and you can differentiate between the different styles of buses that provide input into ridership projections.
Thanks so much. Speedy response.
As a follow-up to that question, Mr. French, is there do you notice a difference in ridership based on that model between propulsion methods?
To be honest, I can tell you that you can model it. We haven't spent a lot of time in TBES modeling that at this point in time. We've been working on on other things, but as we move forward, we could provide more information back to you.
Okay, certainly not time sensitive, just a curiosity. Thank you. Other questions actually, let's limit it to Manager Thompson. We get to ask many questions of Manager French in just a moment. Any questions for Manager Thompson? Okay, and actually, I have just one other. I assume based on an earlier comment that you made that CTE modeled out that the momentum dynamics charging will allow us to do all-day service. Is that correct? Were they the ones that did the modeling?
Well, technically, they haven't done the modeling yet because that is in phase 2, which is funded under this contract in the 2021 Lono grant. But we have done some preliminary studies, but they'll actually now, with the approval of this, there's some things we need to do is we need to figure out what our power consumption is there based on how long the buses are sitting. There's a PG partnership program that we need to work out with those details. So this will allow them to start working on that part of it. But based on their experience and the implementation of battery electric buses with inductive pickup charging, we feel really confident that this will keep the bus out all day long. That was our goal.
That's huge. That's great. Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing no questions, would someone like to make a motion? Please.
Let's see. Okay, there it goes. I move that the board authorize the general manager to execute a contract with the Center for Transportation and the Environment for the battery electric buses project management and technical services for an amount not to exceed $145,000.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
We have a second from Director Duncan. Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Notice how I'm refraining from discussing the motion. Please notice that. Okay. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much, Manager Thompson, and congratulations on your hat trick.
Thank you.
We'll proceed to the informational reports, the first being a performance report.
And we'll ask Service Planning Manager French to present the report.
Thank you, General Manager Pollock. President Davidson, members of the board, I'm here this evening to present the FY22 Q1 performance report. This covers July through September of 2021. Next slide, please. The first, we'll look at ridership totals. Next slide. Weekday total ridership for FY22 year to date across all services, we provided 453,949 rides this year across so far across all of our service. Next slide. Saturday's total ridership for the quarter is 44,139 rides per all services. Next slide. And this is exciting because this is the first time we've got to talk about Sunday service. And September was our first month, so 1 month out of the quarter. And in the first month, we provided 4,653 rides to people in our community on Cherriots Local and Lyft. Next slide, please. So total year-to-date ridership is 505,741 rides for the quarter, or year-to-date and for the quarter being it's the first quarter. Next slide. Ridership averages. Next slide. First, we'll look at the local average daily riders per month. And as you can see, FY22, we're kind of in for the local ridership. We're right in between the middle. We're about a little over 50% of the previous, or close to 50%. But we are seeing that climb, which is good to see. Next slide. Next, we'll look at the regional average. And this is close, but FY21 and FY22 for July and September were slightly up and slightly below for August. Next slide. Next, we'll look at ridership average by route. Sorry. Next slide. This looks at weekday rides for our corridor routes, rides per revenue hour, with our top route being the South Commercial, Route 21, and for our corridor routes, the Route 17 Edgewater, which is in West Salem, is our lowest. Next slide. Next, we look at our coverage routes with the Route 16, which is kind of interesting on our frequent route corridors. Our lowest route is the West Salem route, but our top performer here is Route 16, which is Wallace Road, which is the top performer for our coverage routes. And then our lowest is also a West Salem route, Glen Creek, Orchard Heights. Next slide. Next, we'll look at the revenue for the regional and the local commuter express. That includes all of the outlying communities and the 1X, and that the 40X is again our top performer, and that serves Dallas, Monmouth, and Independence with 5.1 boardings, and then the 50X, which provides service between Dallas and Salem directly with limited trips, is our lowest ridership route. Next slide. Next, we'll look at Saturday ridership. Next slide. For Saturdays, our top performing route in this quarter was the Broadway River Road, Route 19, with 15.8 boardings. And as with weekday service, Saturday service, Edgewater is also our lowest quarter route with 6.2 boardings per revenue hour. Next slide. For the coverage route, Route 16 once again shows as our top ridership route on Saturday for our coverage routes. Wallace Road, and Route 6, Fairview Industrial, which covers Southeast Salem and out into the far reaches of South Salem, is our lowest performing with 2.9 boardings per revenue hour. Next slide. For the Regional Express, Polk County Flex is still the top performer with 3.8 boardings per revenue hour. Next slide. Now, once again, exciting, we get to talk about Sundays. Next slide. And for Sundays, we have our top performing route is Route 21 with 11.7 boardings per hour. And the Route 7, Mission Street is our lowest performing route. That route serves the hospital in Mission Street. Next slide. And with that, that completes my report, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions for Manager Brett? Please.
I have one question. It's unrelated to the report. This was a great report, and thank you. It really gives me a vision of the boardings. And so I'm wondering, when I'm looking at this report, I kind of see that I think it was Route 30 underperformed on Sunday, or had the least amount of boardings. And I've heard from quite a few people that are out on that route. And one thing that they've mentioned is that the route doesn't go out far enough. So I'm wondering, with that T-Best system that we have, is there a way to see about how far an electric bus could go out on that route if we were to put in one of those magnetic chargers?
Director, so currently on the regional routes, we don't have any electric buses. So as we were looking at that, we could look at that in the future. Yeah, so they're looking for it to go beyond Gates.
Correct, out to, I think it was Detroit was where they were asking more specifically.
Okay. Yeah, those are things that we could explore, but currently we have not.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Other questions for Director Carney?
I do, President Davidson.
I'm sorry, my mic's not on. Please, Director Carney.
Thank you, President Davidson. Just a question, because thanks to the luxury of sitting in front of multiple screens, I'm looking at our system map right now. And you mentioned Route 6, Fairview Industrial, going way out, and it certainly does. Does that have a one-way loop at the end?
Yes, that is correct. The Reese Hill or Fairway piece of that is a one-way loop. Okay. Once it goes past Walmart on South Commercial.
Gotcha. So so the reason it's 60 minutes frequency is because it takes 30 minutes to get to the bottom and then another 30 to get back, or is it less frequent than that?
The Route 6 is linked together with the Route 16, and so they have odd cycle times, which is a result of the Route 6 is a result of trying to meet everybody's needs in the last service change, and that route kind of got stretched out and morphed into a long route. It's a route that, as we develop the South Salem Transit Center, we will explore ways to better serve the areas that route currently serves.
Yeah, I can certainly imagine that being a better outcome for everyone. And then just a quick question about Route 7, which came in kind of, well, now I kind of lost my system map. Here it is. it came in kind of close to the bottom, but it's a short route, right?
That is,
And is that, I mean, it's kind of, it seems, I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, doesn't have that many stops on it. Do we have, I mean, even though ridership is low, it might be like commensurate with a longer route that had more stops and collected more people. Is that, am I thinking about it correctly?
Route 7 is a route that is another one that we're exploring how to alter that route. It serves the hospital currently with 30-minute service, which previously there was a lot more people going to visit people at the hospital and more just traffic to medical facilities. So I think that some of the decrease in ridership on the Route 7 has a lot to do with just the current conditions. As we look into the future and looking at some of the development that's happening out between State and Auburn with that large housing development that's going in out there, that's the Route 7 is a route that we're looking at that kind of has the ability to change. The Route 7, when we made changes, our goal was to get out by the super Walmart, but infrastructure and getting a bus turned around out there just didn't work. We worked with some of the mobile home parks that are out there to see if we could work through turning around in their parking lot. We worked with, through their neighborhoods, we worked with Walmart for options. And so that route is kind of a route that we would like to look at ways to improve in the future.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think it is so important to serve our hospital. So I thank you for sharing that. And I understand why ridership would be down right now and visitorship potentially to the hospital. But I think my question, let me rephrase it. And I may do a poor job the second time around. So somebody help me out. But I'm thinking about it. I'm trying to think about ridership on the routes. And so if I have a route with 4 stops and I have 4 boardings and alightings at every stop, is my ridership the same as if I have a route with 16 stops and I only have 1 boarding and alighting at each stop? Does that make sense? So I'm like, if I have 4 bowls on my counter and I put 4 oranges in each bowl, do I have the same ridership? Do I have the same amount of oranges? Do we determine it the same way as if I have 16 bowls with 1 orange each? Is that making sense at all?
Yeah. So this is comparing by revenue hours. So we're putting everything. We're making them all equal by saying this bus has this many revenue hours, and the boardings for this many revenue hours is for the Route 7. Sorry, I don't have it right in front of me. Is whatever it is. So it's a direct comparison. We're saying the Route 7 has 3.2 boardings per revenue hour, and the Route 21 for the revenue hours that it's on the road, it has 11.7 boardings per revenue hour. So this isn't comparing at stop level. This is saying for revenue hours, the amount of time that the bus is out driving, picking people up along the route, it's picking up 3.2 people every hour.
Thank you very much, Manager French. And now I realize that I already did know the answer to that question, and I feel foolish for asking it. So I'm going to pretend I did it for the benefit of others.
You were doing it to challenge me and make sure that I could answer the question. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you. Well done.
Other questions? I've got maybe 2. The Route 17, it's been low for a while, and I wonder if you could speak to the location of the West Salem Transit Center as an impact to potential low ridership on that route. So, well,
I get what you're asking, and so the Route 17 performance previously, and I only know, so it serves a major medical clinic that's over there. And I think that with all medical clinics, people trying to get in and out of those is reduced significantly. There's a lot more people doing appointments over the phone or in other manners, as opposed to having people come into the office. And so I think that that's some of it. And the route does going into West Salem. I don't think it specifically has to do with the West Salem Transit Center, the location, but I think it has more to do just in general, how many people are moving currently in the system. Another big ridership draw on that is Capitol Manor and the Pioneer Village. And all the senior living, and those people are using their own transportation a lot more as opposed to going. So I think right now there's just a lot of things that are affecting how people are using our system.
That's helpful. Is it safe to assume, at least in the abstract, maybe not focusing in on 17, but I look at 17's route and it kind of jogs a little bit all over what I would consider the downtown of West Salem to get to ultimately where our present day transit center is in West Salem. My non-experts view of that sees the jogs as time delays and a little bit more of why somebody would choose. Like if I'm in the actual Edgewater district and I'm able-bodied, I might choose to walk or bike across the bridge as opposed to taking what could be perceived as a circuitous route to downtown transit center. Am I anywhere in the ballpark of, yeah, that kind of makes sense, or no?
Yes, in general transit planning, the straighter the line and the fewer the turns, the more competitive it is with a car or other options, bikes, walking. So yes, straightening routes out help with that with a better experience, more chance of people being willing to take that. That route kind of serves two purposes. So there's the people that want to get into that area from along Edgewater over to Roth's and a lot of the medical facilities and other facilities that are in that general core area there. So yes, your understanding of the turns on it will affect ridership or could be affecting ridership.
Okay, that's a helpful reminder to me about the multi-directional trips, though. That's well put. Most of my affairs are in the downtown core, so that's where I tend to think of where everyone's going, but obviously everyone's not going to where I'm going, so thank you for that. The next maybe question or comment is piggybacking a little off of Director Navarro's question, and I'm to maybe deviate slightly off of Director Navarro's line, which was on the 30X extending up to Detroit. I'm wondering if we could do what I would call like a trailhead direct kind of service to Detroit Lake on weekends, so a Saturday, Sunday, or if not to Detroit Lake, perhaps Silver Falls State Park. And if so, under what circumstances would that operate? Is that because in my conception, that's like a weekend only thing. So it's not regional, it's not local. What would that look like, and is that possible? And I would be generally interested in seeing plans drawn up, but I also don't want to put the cart before the horse or count the chickens before they hatch. All of those different, oranges in the bowls, to borrow Director Carney's thing. So I just said a lot. Manager French, please respond.
President Davidson, I would have to do some research. I don't think it's out of the question, but I don't have enough information to really answer your question tonight just off the cuff. Sure. I don't want to misspeak.
Okay. I'll perhaps talk with General Manager Pollack afterwards and see if we could maybe get a work session on a possibility like that. Director
That
Carney.
sounds good.
May I?
Please.
Go ahead. Thank you. I just want to lend my full support for that idea. I think having some weekend service to some of the unique recreational opportunities that we have in our area and within reach of our service district is a tremendously good idea. So I just want to give 2 thumbs up to that. And I really appreciate you raising the idea and sharing it with the group.
I can't take full credit. Somebody once gave me the idea, but yeah, I think in particular the Detroit Lake piece, especially as we look towards rebuilding the San Ana Canyon economy, I think it would be one way that we as a government could help in that effort. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I would be very excited as a board member to support that kind of work.
Great. Good. Yeah, let's learn more. If there's no other questions, Manager French, I think, thank you for your informational report and, oh, you know what? This is your only one. So I thought that you might be back. Sometimes you're back to back. So thank you, Manager French. Yeah. Sigh of relief.
Have a great evening.
Thank you. Next up is our transportation options report.
Okay, I'll ask Kiki Doman, our Transportation Options Coordinator, to come online and present the report.
Thank you, General Manager Pollack. Good evening, President Davidson, members of the board. Thank you so much for having me here tonight. I'm really excited to be presenting the first quarter initiatives and efforts of the Transportation Options team. Next slide, please. So one of our primary goals is to increase the awareness and understanding of the transportation options throughout our region. Next slide. And one way we do this is through community outreach. This quarter, we attended 8 service integration team meetings, 11 chamber functions, 2 downtown associations, and 2 Polk County leadership meetings. Next slide. Another way we increase awareness is by engaging with employers. So in September, we hosted a quarterly meeting for our employee transportation coordinators, also known as ETCs. Our ETC network is essential for employer outreach as they champion all things transportation in their workplaces and help their coworkers explore their commute options. So at these quarterly meetings, we provide updates about our program and just the district overall. And this is also just a really great opportunity to invite other speakers to present on other transportation related topics that are happening locally and then also throughout the state. So our last meeting's agenda included, of course, a Cherriots update. And then folks from the Council of Governments spoke on safe routes to school and some other transportation initiatives that they're working on. We also had a really great in-depth overview and demonstration from our partners at ODA about the Get There platform and how ETCs would be able to utilize the tool for the statewide Get There challenge. And just to note, later in the presentation, I'll have an opportunity to expand on the results of the Get There statewide challenge, and then also just an overview of the Get There platform as well. Next slide. So regional outreach campaign. So our team has been involved with the planning of the regional outreach campaign and will play a significant role in the implementation that is forecasted for after the new year. So the primary goal is to increase awareness of Cherriots regional services in Polk County. And we will be targeting communities of Independence, Monmouth, and Dallas, which are served by routes 40X, 45, and 50X. And we have identified potential community partners to help us promote this campaign, which include social service agencies, Latinx community groups, educational institutions, and then also local businesses. So the next steps that we have will be to start scheduling outreach meetings and tabling events, and then to also develop the content and collateral that we will share with community partners to use. Next slide. And now we'll move on to expanded markets. Next slide, please. And the Get There platform. So just as a reminder, it is a statewide tool and database that TO, so transportation options, TO practitioners all over the state utilize to promote travel options. So it's a great platform. It has a ride matching component that helps users find carpools and van pools to join. Our emergency ride home program is also housed in the platform, and users can track their miles and see how much money they've saved and CO2 they've reduced and just their overall carbon footprint as well. And then some really fun gamification features as well. And so on the slide, you can see that during this quarter, we increased our users by 158. And just also another fun fact, we also realized that the mode with the most trips logged was teleworking with 925. And then with bike trips coming in second with 366 trips logged. Next slide. So the Get There Challenge, we had just over 1,400 participants statewide. And this is the second year that the challenge incorporated achievements where participants were able to unlock these achievements by completing certain tasks or skill building activities. This statewide campaign not only promotes different ways of getting around, but is also educational and encourages positive behavior change and just for folks to try something new. Maybe they'll find a new way to get around and enjoy it. And so the challenge took place in October. So we are just about done processing all of the local prize winners. Some of the local prizes included Dutch Bro drink cards, gift packs from local bike shops that were donated, gift cards that we received from local businesses, and then also, of course, some of the infamous Cherriots swag bags that we have here in our offices. Next slide. So Group Pass. Group Pass is a commuter benefit program where employers provide their employees with bus passes at a deep discount. Currently, staff has been working with participating employers by helping them with new employee orientations and then creating collateral to help promote programs internally. And then van pools. So in Q1, we supported and subsidized 15 van pools that travel throughout our region. And just a sneak peek into Q2, which I'm so excited to be able to report on. So since the beginning of October, we have launched 10 new vans in both Polk and Yamhill counties. And so that's 9 at Miduri Farms in Dallas, Oregon, and then 1 at that travels to FCI Sheridan. And so van pooling took a major hit during the first year of the pandemic. So after a lot of work of implementing safety measures and just a lot of intentional outreach, it has been just really exciting to see the draw and the momentum towards van pooling again, especially in rural areas. Next slide, please. So staff were approached by ODOT earlier this year to participate in a limited English proficiency advisory group to learn more about the barriers that Spanish-speaking communities face with transportation and how TO practitioners can help address these barriers with programs and communication strategies. So our priority and goal is to develop a core principles document that serves as a resource for other transportation professionals throughout the state on how to effectively conduct outreach that is intentional to these groups and communities. So next slide. And with that, I would be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Are there any questions for Coordinator Doman? Director Duncan.
Thank you so much for that presentation. It was fantastic. I got to see one of your presentations, one of your chamber events, and it was lovely. So thank you very much. Excited to see about that. I'm on the website, I'm looking at the Get There Oregon. I had thought it was a limited duration challenge entirely. I did not realize it was a full-on service until we were talking about it in this moment. And so I wonder if some other people might have also gotten that impression on accident, thinking, oh darn, I missed the dates, because that's why I had previously I tried to sign up for like 3 different times and missed the deadline for the competition, and I just now realize it's a service separate from the competition. So thank you very much for bringing that to light, and I'll hopefully support you guys in doing a little bit of additional education there, just in case anyone else is like me and she's like, I missed the ball on that one. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. You didn't miss anything at all. We definitely have different challenges going on, and if you ever need any help with your account, please feel free to reach out.
Director Carney.
Thank you, President Davidson. Thank you, Coordinator Doman. Always great to see you and great work. A question about van pools. And I'm coming at this as, from the perspective of a state employee, because I imagine that a lot of the van pools that dropped out of service were state employee filled van pools. I can kind of speak to personal experiences of several coworkers who have said, oh, I paid for my van pool until I finally didn't pay for my van pool anymore. And I know when I am anticipated to go back to work, but I think it's a little staggered for different state agencies. Mine is very small, so I doubt that it would have a very significant impact. But I'm wondering about the coordination of van pool creation with really large scale employers like that. And if there's anything we can do to kind of anticipate the demand before we're kind of leaving people without rides and putting them in cars.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we just have a fantastic relationship with the vendor Commute with Enterprise. And so we kind of tag team with referrals and just making sure that we do a lot of great outreach. But a great point to target, large employers. We have been having a lot of conversations with, for instance, Salem Health. And they're just not at that point right now to be coordinating. There's some interest. There are some current van pools that go to Salem Health right now, but we have been trying to do intentional outreach with large employers, but right now it's also just focusing on agriculture. There's been a lot of interest from agriculture companies like the Maduri Farms. It's been fascinating to meet with their executive leadership over the past few months and how there's a lot of shifts that their employees work, and just the transportation barriers and just getting folks there. So they're actually providing it as a commuter benefit. So we've been really trying to just focus on essential workers and all workers. And so it's been a good time. So.
Yeah, wow, that's fantastic. And I think if I'm recalling correctly from your presentation, you were talking about working with ODOT to address language barriers and sort of reducing barriers to ridership and use of the system. So I just applaud that work, and I love to see us participating in it, and I love to see ODOT pursuing it. I don't know, pro tip, I'm still gonna ride my bike or walk, but we are expected back in person on, I think, the 24th of January. But I also know that the workplaces have become very, very flexible in this time. And so hopefully that means that demand for personal vehicle use is down. But, potentially, hopefully we can get people to change habits and try a van pool instead of driving their own car in this time of change, because that's really the point. It's that change point that encourages people to adopt new habits. So
Absolutely.
when somebody moves, they're more likely to start taking transit or walking or riding their bike, or other major life changes like that. So in anticipation of that, I think there is a good potential for mode conversion, but it is still kind of a tenuous time with case rates being what they are. Anyway, that's enough for me. Thank you, as always, for your presentation and for answering my questions.
Thank you.
Other questions for Coordinator Doman? Okay, I don't have a question. I do want to note that you left something out from your report, which was that you were recognized with the President's Award for Extraordinary Leadership at the ACT International Conference held in Orlando, Florida. So I suppose humility is to be acknowledged, but wanted to put that out there that congratulations for receiving that award. And thank you for serving Cherriots and serving in such a way that you're recognized nationally.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Great. Well, thank you for your report. And next we have a report on finance. So far less, you know what? I'm not going to levy commentary before Denise provides us a report.
I'll ask our Chief Financial Officer, Denise LaRue, to come on. There she is. Present the report.
Good evening, President Davidson and members of the board. The board adopts a budget for the district on an annual basis. The budget is a plan that contains district resources and requirements. The quarterly financial report provides information about how that plan is being implemented and includes statements for the general fund, special transportation fund, and capital project fund. The finance report also contains a statement of budget to actual on a non-GAAP basis that shows by fund the legal appropriations by category with actual amounts compared to budget. On the general fund revenues, passenger fares are currently at 40% of the annual budget. Federal funding is currently at 0% of the annual budget, which is not unusual for the first quarter. The federal fiscal year ends on September 30th, followed by a period of TRAMS, which is the federal grant processing system, being closed for a period of time. We receive and record funding when we request reimbursement of funds via drawdowns, which were processed in the second week of November 2021 due to TRAMS being closed. The district has received 1% of the projected property taxes in the first quarter of the year. This amount reflects the last of payments credited to FY21 assessments and prior. The amount budgeted is the estimate for FY22 property taxes, and the majority of those property taxes are received in November when taxpayers take advantage of the largest discount offered to those who pay their tax by November 15th. Interest on investments is slightly less than budget for the first quarter. Interest rates have decreased, but will fluctuate throughout the year. As far as general fund expenditures, the total operating expenditures of the general fund are slightly under budget at 21% of total annual budget. Most divisions in the general fund are at or below the anticipated 25% of total budget, ranging from 16 to 29% of annual budget expended. In transportation program fund revenues, passenger fares are at 33% of the annual budget, so just slightly above the 25% that we would anticipate. Federal funds, including the CARES Act funding in FY22, have not been reimbursed yet due to the timing of the drawdowns, so we'll see that revenue come through in November also. And the transfers from other funds are all recognized later in the fiscal year when we go through our year-end closing process. For the transportation fund expenditures, they are at 16% of the annual budget, with all programs in line with spending at less than 1/4 of the annual budgeted amount. And the total capital revenues in the capital project fund are at 1% of total budget this quarter. Again, because we are reimbursed by the granting agencies. So again, that takes time after TRAMS has reopened. Overall, the capital project fund expenditures are 1% of the annual approved budget. At the first of a budget year, it usually takes some time for project expenditures to process through to the financials. Staff recommends that the board receive and file this first quarter financial report for FY 2021-22. May I answer any questions?
Thank you. Any questions for CFO LaRue? I'll pose one, maybe two. Reading between the lines, and in light of the fact that this is the first quarter, this all seems pretty normal, but I'd love to pose the question, do you feel comfortable with the financial state of affairs presently?
Yes, I do. I feel very comfortable. This very much compares to where we're at first quarter every year. This is, these numbers look very low, but this is just what happens in first quarter with second quarter picking up very strongly.
Great, yeah, I suspected as much, thank you. And I'd maybe not a question, but an ask. I would love to see a breakdown, maybe on an annualized basis, of the percentage of fare, well, specifically youth fares, as a percentage of overall revenue. If I'm remembering correctly, pre-COVID, total fares probably accounted for, I want to say, 10 to 15% of total revenue. And so I'd be curious in particular of that youth fare, the 0 to 18 piece, recognizing that we presently charge significantly less. We subsidize, or it is a reduced fare for youth. So I'd just be curious what that percentage is.
Okay, I'll pull those together for you.
So do you mean a percentage of all revenue or percentage of all fare revenue?
Both. I was thinking all revenue, but I would be curious to see fare revenue as well. Yeah, so if, yeah, I won't lay all my cards out on the table, but I'd be curious of the cost, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, well, CFO LaRue, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And next, we have the Apt to Transform Conference and Expo report. Would you like to go first?
No,
I'll go
let you
first.
kick it off.
Okay. So General Manager Pollack, myself, Operations Director Tom Dietz, and then Maintenance Manager Greg Thompson, we went out to Orlando to attend the APTA, or the American Public Transit Association, annual conference, which they cleverly named the Transform Conference, trans being capitalized for transportation, and then the Triennial Expo, though it happened 4 years since the last one because something happened last year. Something got in the way of plans. And it was great. I think one of my top line takeaways from it is that our participation in APTA, and then also our participation in what I would consider a sister organization, the Bus Coalition, are incredibly worthwhile. The dues that we pay are, the return on investment is massive. I think us sending staff and, when appropriate, board members to these kinds of events is incredibly worthwhile. I think there's a significant return on investment. So I think that is a big takeaway for me. So in addition to being the APTA Transform Conference and Expo, it was also the annual meeting of the Bus Coalition. So they're a industry organization like APTA, however, particularly focused on buses. And Cherriots, as we don't have any rail, it's all bus. So that meeting was very worthwhile. I think the general, I mean, it was very auspicious timing because the day before I got in, and I guess the day when General Manager Pollack got in, they had just passed the IIJA, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Bill. I forget what the acronym actually stands for, but which made a historic investment in public transit. And so there was a lot of celebratory woohoos, several standing ovations. And so it was a very bizarrely cheerful mood for a hotel conference room situation. So, but I wanted to highlight a few things that I took away personally from this. One is that APTA is launching a new initiative called the Racial Equity Commitment Program, and it's something I'd like to bring to our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Subcommittee for us to discuss, consider if this is a program that we would like to participate, and then ultimately, if it is, to bring it to the board. I think it's an incredibly worthwhile program to participate in. There would be some additional resources, and I think particularly when we talk about equity and racial equity in particular, I think it's important to recognize that that we're not trying to necessarily fix a problem, we're trying to make our organization the best it can be. And I think that is that was my takeaway for this kind of program. And so I'm very interested in seeing that move forward, but I would love to, of course, run it through the proper channels. And then another piece that I really am thinking through was several discussions around value versus volume. And so Manager French just presented us our quarterly ridership reports, and it's we have, I think as an industry, historically relied pretty heavily on ridership as the metric of success. Are we succeeding? Do we have more or fewer riders? And while it's helpful, I think it's probably been a crutch in the industry to rely on that metric because it's easy to attain. And if in one of these discussions, somebody talked about as if we were a coffee shop, we wouldn't just be interested in how many cups of coffee we sold. We would be interested in the quality. That's not to say that volume isn't important. It is important, but it's only a portion of what is overall of value. And so Charlotte, North Carolina, their regional transit agency, when they consider how volume factors in, they weight it at only 3% of their overall value. And I'm still kind of reeling from that idea, that new framing of it. So I think this is, I'll leave it at that, just recognizing that as we go into strategic planning in this next year, we need to, I think, be very thoughtful about how we and then largely the community considers our value. Public transit may be appreciated, but is it valued? And if so, how? It's the connections to education, to employment. It's all of the outcomes, not just the outputs. And so anyways, I'll leave it at that, and then General Manager Pollack.
Great, thank you. So I just add a few items to build on what you said. So I don't think we can really talk about this conference without reiterating the passage of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, the IIJA. The night of the opening of the conference, my first meeting was at 8 o'clock Saturday morning with one of the committees that our job was to provide communication materials and advocacy to Congress. And so we've been working on this for quite some time. So the timing, you couldn't plan better. But just know that, especially we have many new members on the board, that the Infrastructure Investment and Job Act, which is a $1.2 trillion act, is by far the largest federal investment in the history of public transportation at the federal level. And while it was a long, sought, and hard-won legislative victory, it's much more than the sum of the numbers. It represents a historic seminal chapter in public transportation's future and our expanded role, which includes modeling sustainability to fight climate change, advancing racial and social equity, and providing greater access to convenient, reliable mobility options. But the money is important. And as it funnels through that, we don't get $1.2 trillion. We get a portion of that. And that money comes in two pots. The first is our formula money that we get on an annual basis. And you may have seen it in articles in the last couple of days. So over the 5 years of the bill, we're expecting an additional $8.5 million of federal formula funding into our coffers. for a 5-year funding total of about $33 million. So that helps us as we look at capital improvements and other things that we need, buses, for instance. So that shouldn't go unsaid. The other half is a competitive discretionary grant process, which is how we have won the last 2 low-no grants. Those programs are oversubscribed significantly. For the last 5 years, for every dollar that's awarded, there was probably $10 worth of asks. So it is pretty significant that the increase in funding in those programs will not only allow some agencies to get larger awards, but more agencies to get awards. So the next 5 years are going to be exciting for public transit, but very difficult because every single transit agency right now is starting to prepare for those competitive grant processes, and we are doing the same. So with all that being said, this conference and expo, there's really 3 components to this conference. There's committee meetings, there is the conference, and then there's the expo. And as President David said, there was over 10,000 attendees. Believe it or not, that's down because of COVID. Typically, it's 13,000 to 14,000 for the every 3-year expo. But as far as committee meetings go, so I attended several committee meetings. I know President David also did. As you know, I'm on APTA's board, and a couple of important things that we did elect a new slate of officers, executive committee, and board members for the coming year and years. And the board did approve the launching of the racial equity commitment program that President Davidson talked about. And then there was also a variety of other committee meetings to include the Bus Coalition, which really focuses on buses and specifically the bus and bus facility count. As far as the conference goes, lots of great sessions. Secretary Buttigieg did a video welcome to the group. The Secretary of Transportation typically attends this conference, but he wasn't able to this time, but Federal Transit Administration Administrator Neria Fernandez was there representing him and was there throughout the conference. Multiple sessions, as President Davidson said, there is a lot of discussion on communicating the value of transit in addition to ridership, and that is important. And you're right, for many years it's the easy marker because anybody can ask that question even if they don't know about transit. But it is changing, and the last 20 months have shown even when ridership's down, we are an essential service in all of our communities providing essential trips to many people. And then, of course, that was highlighted with the AdWheel Awards presentation. And then the expo, over 100,000 square feet of vendor exhibits and displays to include full-size buses, rail cars, streetcars, all kinds of manufacturers and consultants and engineering firms. And just to give you kind of a slice of what the conference was like, I do have a few pictures that I'd like to show. So this first picture is, I talked about the board approved the executive committee and the officers for the coming year. And this is a grouping of them. I wanted to highlight that our chair this year is Jeff Nelson, who is the general manager in Moline, Illinois, another small operator. In the history of APTA, he's only the second chair of APTA from a small operator. And so that is pretty significant. We worked several years for that. And then the vice chair, who will be next year's chair, is a transit board member. So every 3 years, a transit board member is the chair of APTA. So that is exciting. It's Kevin Holzendorf from Jacksonville Transportation Authority in Jacksonville, Florida. Next slide. So one of the many vendors there was Gillig. We've talked extensively about Gillig this evening, and they had a nice display chart by their booth thanking all their partners in their electric bus venture, and you can see kind of in the Top right there is the Cherriots logo, thanking us as one of their partners. And you can see all the different agencies throughout the country that are buying Gillig electric buses. So we are not alone. Next slide. There is the crew from Cherriots standing in front of Gillig's 40-foot electric bus. We will get 10 of those in about a year from now. So just to show that we were there and checking out all the latest and equipment. So next slide. So this is the award ceremony where I was honored to represent Cherriots and receive the award. And you can see up on the wall there, the Cherriots logo, as well as the 3 recipients who received awards. Next slide. And here it is afterwards, and we all were able to get up on stage and get some celebratory pictures. Next slide. Here's a screenshot of Secretary Buttigieg presenting to the audience. Next slide. And also Representative Peter DeFazio, the chair of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, right here from Oregon, also was there spreading his message to the crowd. And I think that's it. Next slide. Is that it? Yeah, and that's it. So just a few slides to show you what was happening. But really the best part of the conference is getting a chance to network. We were able to meet with our fellow transit professionals from Eugene and from Portland and others throughout the country. And it's good to spend time with President Davidson at his first APTA event, and our operations director, Tom Dietz's first APTA conference, and then Greg, who's been to several of these. And I don't know if Tom or Greg have anything they want to share from their experience. If you do, just come on
on. Yeah, thank you, General Manager Pollock, members of the board. It was my first APTA conference. It was like a 4-year-old in a toy store. There was so much going on, but it was really good to make new connections with colleagues across the country and then reconnect with folks that I've known over my almost 14 years in the industry. But to echo the comments of President Davidson and Alan, just the buzz about the infrastructure bill. And I picked up on a lot of the sessions I went to was around electrification and zero emissions and how transit can better impact the environment. So really excited about that and seeing the technology that's out there on the expo floor. But grateful for the opportunity to go to the expo and learn from Alan and Greg who've been through these before, and then just getting to kind of immerse ourselves as a group. So that's all I have. Thank you.
And for me, you know, it is a lot of vendors that are there. You know, I was able to, I always go with some goals in mind. I was looking at, you know, new maintenance software, seeing what other things can do. There are a lot of discussions about zero emission vehicles. You know, I think the next one coming in the horizon is hydrogen. There was a lot of discussion. There was vendors making some offers of hydrogen, and I think that you know, is kind of eye-opening to start having some discussions with people, see what their experiences are. You know, transit is unique because we're not competing with each other. So you know, everybody's willing to share their experiences, their pitfalls, and their successes. And you're never by yourself when you're doing these new initiatives. So I think that was great. You know, of course, being reunited with people that I haven't seen in transit for a decade or so. It was always fun to see how much everybody's changed. But it's a good place to be. I've got lots of new contacts. I was able to show President Davidson a set of in-ground lifts that were recently approved by the board, so he could actually see what they look like, and we could go through that, and so it's neat seeing some of those things.
And I immediately sent the pictures to Director Navarro, so he saw them too.
Great. If I could just add, so since Greg was just on, I just wanted to share with the board that he just recently completed the Washington State Transit Association's inaugural leadership institute called Transit's Next Leader Institute. He was participated over the last 7-8 months in that program and represented us as well as the state of Oregon in that Washington program. So we were happy to see him and congratulate him on that effort.
Congratulations. That's great. Well, if we don't have anything else for the conference and expo report, General Manager Pollack.
Sure. Just a few last items. So on Saturday, December 11th, the Kaiser Holiday Lights Parade will be happening. And in normal Cherriots fashion, we will have a holiday decorated bus in the parade. It will be a little different this year, however. Usually we have the bus full of employees and their family members, but due to COVID, we won't have anyone on the bus. But if you do go to the parade, look for our bus. It's won multiple awards at this parade. The maintenance crew do a fantastic job of decorating it, and we will be in the parade once again. In addition to Greg completing his leadership course, while we were at APTA, Ben Sawyer, our contracted transportation manager, was at the CTAA conference in Richmond, Virginia, where he completed his certification for the CCTM designation, which stands for Certified Community Transportation Manager, which in the paratransit field is equivalent to our Leadership Apta program. So congratulations also go to Ben for that achievement. And then just a reminder that there will be no service on Thanksgiving Day, but we will pick it up the very next day. And our board meeting, again in December, is the third Thursday of the month, which is December 16th. And I'd just like to close on a personal note. So tonight, my wife and I are celebrating our 32nd wedding anniversary. So thank you for sharing with us.
Oh,
And so I'd like to wish her a happy anniversary. So.
Happy anniversary. I am so sorry we took you away from this week. Oh, they've got even heart emojis.
That concludes my report.
Great. Thank you, General Manager Pollack. We'll go ahead and proceed to the Board of Directors reports. And I guess first up is Director Navarro, I believe.
Thank you, Director Davidson. So lots going on in Kaiser. Well, first I wanted to give a shout out to the marketing team for the Veterans Day post. I wasn't feeling well, and so I wasn't able to enjoy Veterans Day as I usually do. But I got a lot of pictures of people riding buses around and enjoying their meals at some of the businesses, the local businesses in the community. So I really appreciated that. And I'm sure they did too. In Kaiser, we have the Community Diversity Engagement Committee is just launched, and they're looking for members. So if you're interested in joining that and being able to advocate for some different mobility options that might impact you that don't necessarily get a voice at the council, you can do that on their website at kaiser.org, and then you just go to their city news page, and you'll find the application for that. On that same page, you'll also see the updated draft for the Parks Master Plan. And same, if you would like to have your voice heard by the city, you can do so by submitting some comments on there. And thank you, General Manager Pollack, for bringing up the Holiday Lights Parade that will be on the 11th. And then something that's not Kaiser related, but came to mind as we were talking about expanding service out to Detroit, is that November 26th and 27th are free fishing weekend. So I don't know if you guys are interested, but we still have service going out to Mill City and going out to Gates and Staten. If you guys are interested, I enjoy it as much as I can. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Director Navarro. I think Director Carney. I'm getting the order mixed up.
Happy to go next. I'm sub-district 3, so
yeah, you are next. Because
okay,
Director Wynn's not here tonight.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was seeing everybody that was at the dais or not, so I appreciate that, President Davidson. I have spoken a lot this evening, so my fellow board members will likely be relieved to hear that this is a very short board report. Our SCATS meeting is next week with the funny holiday month. Next month, I don't think we'll quite have a double because we have a funny schedule again next month. But I want to say congratulations to the Cherriots team on the ad wheel. I want to say thank you to science because I have one of my 4 children vaccinated, or at least partway vaccinated. And thank you to the Boys and Girls Club for leading a walk-up clinic where we could get him vaccinated. And we're now out of quarantine and my children are all allowed back in daycare as of earlier this week again. So that's been an adventure. And other than that, happy anniversary to Josh and Alan, and thanks to Alan for his participation in APTA, and to Manager Thompson and Manager Dietz and Davidson for your enthusiastic participation in the conference. I know what a value add that is. I think we see it month after month and year after year here in Salem. So great gratitude for that. And that's all from me tonight.
Great. Thank you, Director Carney. Director Hinojosa-Pressey.
Hey, I'm here. Sorry for not being in person as well. The whole family has just had a cold, not been able to kick it. You know, 'tis the season. So in place of Director Wynn, since they're not here this evening, I'm going to give the DEI report, which I just have a few bullet points in which the DEI subcommittee met on November 16th, so 2 days ago, to finalize the elected officials and community stakeholder outreach participant list. This group of people will receive a request to complete a survey on their perceptions of Cherriots' actions and activities surrounding DEI. And the next DEI subcommittee meeting with the consultants will be the week of January 17th. And there will be a full board work session as part of the January 27th board meeting. So look forward to that as well. And then the Citizens Advisory Committee is coming up next month, and I think Director Navarro will be able to attend in my stead. So really excited for Director Navarro to get the first taste of the Citizens Advisory Committee, which the last I heard, I believe that we're still looking for at least a student to participate on the committee. So if anyone knows of a student that feels so moved to participate in our committee, let us know, please. And then just a few notes. Yesterday was Ruby Bridges Day, in which everyone was encouraged to walk to school, both in honoring Miss Ruby Bridges as the first Black girl that came into a desegregated school in Louisiana 61 years ago, but also as a recognition of the need for safe routes to school as well. And so I hope folks had the opportunity to walk their kids to school or participate in some capacity. And then tonight, if folks didn't know, is the longest partial lunar eclipse in 600 years or something. It'll be visible for us from about 11 p.m. tonight, and it'll reach its peak at 1 a.m. So if anybody wants to go look at the moon, just wanted to let you know. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Is howling encouraged or discouraged at that time of day?
I think you are encouraged for howling, you know, however you want to celebrate.
Yeah, once every 6 centuries deserves a good howl. So, good. I guess I'm up next. So, because of the way calendars work and the week of being in Orlando, I don't have a whole lot to report on other than what I've already reported on. Just wanted to take the opportunity to express gratitude for Team Cherriots for making me and others look very good. It's it's great to be able to go out into the community and be this figurehead that, you know, resting on the shoulders of many, many people that make this organization incredibly respected in the community. So just wanted to say that. Director Duncan.
All right, well, after my very long report last time, I have a much shorter report this time. I attended SEDCOR. They had a creative director from Kinesis come to talk about successful business positioning, just basically things that mostly Cherriots is already doing. So good job, Cherriots. But it was a lovely conversation. Construction on Reed Road has started. If you're in South Salem, that may impact your commute. Really excited to see how that plays into the ongoing development here at Cherriots and people's accessibility to ridership in South Salem. I wanted to talk for just a second on your valuing ridership, or value not just ridership. We talked about the Fairview Line 6 and how it's got that hour turnaround. And I had a moment where that's the line that I ride the most often. And there's at least 3 different instances I can think of in the last month that I just barely missed it. So ended up carpooling or doing an alternative. And it's funny how value and that value of the way that our services are provided play into ridership directly. So I just had a moment of reflection with those 2 things. This is a very small thing, but we have a locally owned gas station and convenience store now in South Salem. That building has been vacant most of my entire life. And we don't have many locally owned convenience stores. And I got to the chance to go in and speak with the owners, and they just wanted to know how they could be an asset to riders coming through their area because they had stops near them. And it was just so lovely to see that local business interacting with the community. And for the end of the night, I'm going to leave everyone with the wise words of Director Carney and say to go harvest some rainwater and recycle something.
Words to live by. And with that, that does round out all the directors who are present this evening. So I'm not even going to say unless. Seeing as there's no other items of business, with that, I would like to conclude by saying thank you to everyone who helped make this board meeting work well. And with that, we're adjourned.